Hello and welcome back, everyone. This is a video I've been looking forward to doing for a long time. So I'm so excited that we can finally do it. And once again, I am joined by Mr. Patrick Bates as a special guest. Welcome, Patrick.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to be here.
How about we just go over our overall impressions of the film? Actually, I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Batman fan, and I absolutely loved this film. I've seen it 3 times now. What about yourself?
So I saw it at the cinemas with you, and then I just got the DVD, rewatched it over the weekend, and it still holds up. I really enjoyed it. The one criticism I had then, which is the one real criticism I have now, is it's just a bit too long.
Yeah.
I was wondering on the second watching, sort of, if I was going to still feel the same way, still enjoyed it as much, but sort of as I was watching it, I get you could shave 15 seconds out of here. Oh, you could shave 20 seconds out of this scene. But yeah, still really loved it. Really good. I mean, I bought the DVD, so I mean, in this day and age, I think that's a pretty good indication that it's a quality piece of media.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we'll be able to go over every wonderful detail, and let's start with the film's opening. I thought it was really unexpected, the music in the title card that started off the film. It certainly wasn't the sort of the dark opening that I expected the film to have, but as the scene kind of played out, the Ave Maria song just and I think just a bit of creepiness to the scene, which I think really played into the Riddler character as a whole. I thought that they wrote the part perfectly for someone like Paul Dano, who just revels in that creepiness. If anyone's seen the film Prisoners, it's just basically an extension of the character that he's playing there. I thought Riddler's breathing when he's looking through the binoculars just added to the whole creepiness of the scene. And there's a bit of a creepy voyeuristic nature of the film overall. I thought there were interesting parallels drawn between Riddler and Batman in terms of them both. So, Batman was observing Selena Kyle in her apartment, and also when there was that press conference announcing that Mayor Mitchell had died, he was sort of in the background looking at it from the motorcycle, and he's doing his general surveillance in the opening of the film, sort of hiding in plain sight. So that was an interesting parallel to draw between the characters, but I'll let you jump in for a bit, Patrick.
Yeah. Well, you touched on it there. One thing that I really enjoyed, and I don't know if this contributes a lot to the sort of maybe some scenes being a bit too long, was the music. That opening scene, sort of, it was so dramatic and so thing, but I wonder if they sort of picked the song and sort of the dramatic music, and then sort of had to make the scene the same length to match the song, or sort of they had the length and then found the music. I'd be interesting to see which way they did it, which way their vision was.
It's an interesting point. Yeah,
there was a few points in the song where there was the music just sort of was, it hit you there, and you thought, oh yeah, that it sets a tone, and it's like, well, could they have trimmed that 15 seconds and still had the same impact, maybe edited the music or had a different piece? But no, I really liked. You said it, you didn't feel it was sort of as dark as you thought it was going to be, but I think it still had that dark aspect, sort of a Gotham City. It wasn't sort of like a metropolis where it's bright and sort of not bubbly maybe, but sort of something in its golden age, but something that's sort of grey and dark. And
just to clarify, I really only had that impression for the first few seconds of the film until we started hearing Riddler's breathing. I thought, okay, all right, so it is going to be that.
Here's the underbelly,
that kind of film.
Didn't take long.
So I was looking forward to this film for so long and been following the promotional period, which had been going on for about 18 months because of the delays in production they had to do because of COVID. And so I sort of going into the new interpretation of Batman, a character I really love. I wasn't quite sure how to feel, and so I was just sort of scoping the film out in that opening scene. But I remember the exact moment that I knew that I was going to really like this film, and that Matt Reeves's sensibilities were really going to speak to me. It was when Riddler's mask was revealed in the shadows, and I remember seeing it in the theater. I just laughed out loud because I just knew that this is going to be an amazing film. I like just that I don't know, just the vibe of that scene and the way that it was staged. I just thought I'm in really safe hands, and I'm just going to enjoy this ride, and I did for the next 3 hours.
I certainly think sort of if you go back in the history of sort of Batman, back to the Adam West days when it was sort of super campy and sort of over the top, and then they sort of go to the next level where it's sort of a bit more serious, but they're still quite over the top villains. And now this latest iteration, I think, is right in that sweet spot where sort of like you compare this Riddler to, say, Jim Carrey Riddler, and sort of like this one is so much more believable as sort of someone who would be a super villain compared to sort of that type of thing. I think that sort of level of realism, if you want to call it that, really sort of adds to the belief of the movie. Sort of like that there's no Arnold Schwarzenegger shooting an ice ray around. It's sort of real stuff that could happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the scariest part of the film. The third act in particular, with all of Riddler's followers sort of banding together to cause chaos at that political event. I mean, that was like scarily real. And
Definitely.
Yeah, and it just, again, there's just a creepy vibe to it, but that was very unsettling, that whole idea. I mean, as bombastic as that final set piece is, what's underpinning it is really plausible and scary.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought that the setup of Gotham as a whole was really well done in that opening, because we can, like, for there having been as many interpretations in the past of Batman as there has been, you can, like, there's a shorthand that you can take with the general public surrounding Batman, and you can just sort of throw an audience in 2 years into Bruce being Batman, and you can have that established fear that the criminals already have of him, and sort of shining the bat signal in the sky, what that means. And I just love how the criminals, they're afraid of every shadow, and it's positioning Batman as like the Jason Voorhees or Freddy Krueger to all the all the criminals in Gotham. And I liked how there was that big party going on, I think, in Gotham Square or whatever, and it speaks to one of the larger themes in the film, where all those party goers are sort of just having a good time, and they're sort of unaware of Batman creeping through the crowd, and also just of the general criminal underworld. And it's kind of interesting because they're sort of having a good time by themselves, and they're sort of blissfully unaware, and they're not curious about what corruption and what crime is underpinning sort of the city as a whole. I feel as if that was a real word salad, but I hope it made sense to a degree.
Yeah, well, I think sort of that's another part of why I like this movie so much. Is I talked about believability before, but the whole theme of it is sort of officials that have gone corrupt and that type of thing. And I think that probably hits a little too close at home than it should do. Yeah, and like you say, sort of the general world doesn't know really how corrupt sort of people are, and how it's draws a lot from the real world, I think, unfortunately.
Yeah, and probably gets more and more relevant as time goes by.